everybody, Kristen here. I know I said I was going to go live a little bit earlier today, but like many of you all, depending on what state you're in, if you are in the states, there's good news and there's bad news. Also, those of you who saw my Facebook story, saw my uh, Instagram story, I just wanted to give a quick update. Yes, unfortunately, Les has been hospitalized again. She has left side 75% lung collapse. They're in the process of rectifying that right now. She is in good shape. She is in good care. I'm going to be going live on the EndoQueer account and kind of giving some more details on that. We also have a meal train going. I'm going to put that in all of our stories, and it's in the link tree there. So I just wanted to start today's live to let you all know that that's what's going on in the acute need with us, and why I put in the version of this in the description on some of the other sites that we got to go beyond the ballot. Because for many of us, like our household, pandemic's not over. You know, we have sensitivities, we have immunosuppression, we have things that make us very, very sensitive to what's going on. Even if we were in a perfect world, our bodies would not be where they need them to be. And so that was the motivation. So if you've never seen this channel before, if you've never seen me before, I'm Kristen Jeffers. I'm an urban planner. I'm an editor for several publications. I'm a freelance writer. I make fiber arts. I do that over at Chris Pattern. If you want to look that up, there's also channels over there with that. But I still, over there on those yarn channels, I still come with facts. I come with the truth. Since I did mention yarn and stuff, no, I did not make this sweater. Target made this sweater. Unfortunately, we know how Target supply chain looks. So to the person who made this sweater, I'm sending out love and meta to you. I hope that you are in a good place or you're well, because why I come to you all here weekly, because we have to talk about things. I'm here as a black person, as a queer person, as a femme presenting person, as someone who also has like sensitivities to the air quality and such, who is in love with a person who has immunosuppressed system and is going through things as we speak. That's why I'm here in the world. And so I've always been interested in how cities work, but I also go beyond that. And in the last few years, especially since November 8, 2016, especially since moving across the country multiple times. I grew up in North Carolina, spent all of my childhood, all of my college years, all of my grad school, and a good bit of my young adult life until about age 29 in North Carolina. So basically, I'll start with the situation in North Carolina since I brought them up. Basically, I'm not surprised, unfortunately, about North Carolina. I really, really thought we were going to elect Sherry Beasley to the Senate. We got pretty close. Looking at the county by county breakdown, as many of us like to do, many of us election heads like to do, and I have years when I was in North Carolina, I was active in the NC Young Dems. I was on the Guilford County Young Dems board. I was their secretary. I think this was 2010, 2011. It's been a minute. I'm going on 37 now. So that's, if you want to put the two and two together, I came through the economic recession of 2008. You know, I've been here. There's been so many things that have gone on in my life and that affect how I process things. Many of you who are here who are fans, you know that. You know that's what I come here to do every week. I do have a written newsletter. Of course, written is relative now that we're on the internet, but I do have a written newsletter. But as of late, I've liked doing these letters where you can watch me, you can see me react, you can see what kind of person I am in the world. Sometimes I'm in our at my desk. This time I'm sitting on our couch. Definitely look up here. I strategically I know on the YouTube cut, the horizontal cut, you can't see this motivational message above my head, but it's something that Les had put on the wall. I can't remember where she found it. She'll tell me. She can tell y'all, just to kind of keep your heads up. Especially North Carolina, Georgia, parts of Virginia. of course, we've got this energy, the obviously we made history here in Maryland. I do reside in Maryland now. I was briefly in Missouri and Kansas City, on the Missouri side. So shout out to the Missouri side of Kansas City. Shout out to the Kansas City Metro. Shout out to Sharice Davids, who we had the opportunity to meet here, in DC, well, in and around DC, technically in Maryland. So shout out for her running re-election. Shout out to recreational cannabis winning on the ballot both here in Maryland and Missouri and other places. I'm thankful that every ballot measure that said that affirmed abortion as a right, a basic right, was passed. It's disturbing, though, that slavery was still upheld in Louisiana as a form of punishment. If you haven't seen 13th, now, I'll be honest, I have not watched it, but that's one of those things I'm living. There's one of those things that's embodied. Okay, 13th Amendment says that you can still be enslaved if you commit a crime. For many people, that one crime was just holding a bit of marijuana. That's going away for so many people. And other states are considering medical legalization, but in Missouri and Maryland, pretty soon, if you're over 21, they're just going to treat it like, kind of like alcohol. You got to be strategic with it. You got to be mindful with it, but it does help. I'm disclosing here that I do use CBD, which is legal pretty much everywhere right now. That's what you see. If you see, looks like weed is legal everywhere. Not quite. It's certain formats of it that are helpful for pain relief and anxiety relief, and your mileage may vary. But anyway, because even Colorado, those of you in Colorado, y'all voted on psychedelics on the ballot. So looks like the last time I looked at that breakdown, that was passing. But basically, it gets old. As someone who's worked in democratic politics, as someone who's organized, as someone who's written communications campaigns to this day, writes a newsletter, letting folks know how cities work, infuses this perspective of being a black, queer, femme-presenting, grew up working class, kind of still am, really, to be honest, working class. Somebody's that got chronic sinusitis and is not trying to be out here reckless with this pandemic, even as we transition into endemic stage, even as some of you have been able to resume sort of a normal life. Some of you have been able to take the mask down. I recognize that. And of course, if you've been here week by week, last week I just flat out said we're not ready to have this full-on outside opening. Now, part of that is because so many places aren't ready to accept people like me as a person. In many places, we might as well still be 3/5 of the Constitution. Let's be real. Every other amendment, every suffrage, there are new tactics out here and new ways. And so many of you are like, well, why should I, how has this got anything to do with urbanism? You started this channel to talk about urbanism. Urbanism's kind of been missing. I'm like, right now, there are states right now where if you or your child are gender nonconforming or transgender, you might as well not be a person. Election nights like this, where you show up to the polls and you, as a black person, those of you who are excited to see Stacey Abrams finally win, those of you there are black governors on the ballot who are not in the state of Maryland like we are, where we're celebrating that historic achievement, where we had a unity panel, where we have all of our statewide offices are held by marginalized folks right now. If that's not your reaction, and not to say that all the interests are going to be there, not to say that they're going to be completely progressive, but they're going to still be progressive in a way that so many of y'all just wish y'all had. They do at least believe that myself and my partner are human beings and we're deserving of certain things. I really wish that we would continue to work on abolishment of carceral systems, not just police, but also just warehousing people. It is scary to have a partner in the hospital right now, off and on, because hospitals, your mileage may vary, the way people are treated in hospitals, the way you're perceived in hospitals. Of course, I just went through a surgery process over the summer, having uterine fibroids, having chronic sinusitis. I might have somebody had said recently that we should be getting past the point that somebody needs privilege in the world to make it. I'm definitely there, and that was the spirit that I wrote my newsletter in this week. We gotta just it's not enough to just be at the ballot box for so many of us who are embodied in this way. It's not enough because for every person that's living in downtown Charlotte, downtown midtown Atlanta, um, for every person that is living in one of the Maryland counties that still went red, for every person who is looking at leaving Texas and Florida, and in some cases Georgia, Louisiana, some of these states that are still not uplifting full humanity, some that have gone completely over to pure fascism and Christo fascism. Many of you have this pandemic period has, and especially when we were all in lockdown, many of you also reconsidered what was going on in your lives. For me, 2016 had already triggered a lockdown period, likewise with my partner, and I'll probably talk a little bit about that more. If you're going to follow me over to the Endo Queer account, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to be doing kind of a special kind of partners live today as we raise awareness and raise vibration around her as she gets through her most recent hospitalization. Um, just when you're in these when you're we do it like we and the other nice thing was when we went to our polling place, we had to go in person yesterday because we one of the things I did not like about the Maryland process this time, and I'm so glad it did not affect our ability to seal the deal and finish the job we did in the spring with electing a progressive agenda. And let me be clear, a progressive agenda, not so much tied to what party it was, but a progressive agenda, was that if you needed, I think our vote totals would have been higher had we run early voting on Friday and Saturday. Now, if we were sitting here in the progressive camp worried that more conservatives would show up on Friday and Saturday, yeah, that's an issue because it's the decision for somebody to vote a certain way, especially around identity issues, especially around things like, okay, transit, affordable housing, public health and health care, adequate school funding, and just adequate funding, like schools, period. Like that process starts before you even walk into the ballot room. The media, and that's why I'm out here proudly as a person in the media using these tools in all the ways, because we need to do that. Like we need to have multiple voices. It's getting harder to speak up. Obviously, I'm streaming this on the Bird app today. Don't know how long I'm still gonna be there. I know what I said last week for those of you who watched last week, but one of the things I've realized is that those of us who do have good sense and do care about humanity need to be there, because that's at this point, that app, like this app, like all these apps that I'm on here right now, it's like the telephone, like the pure telephone when we used to have to dial it on the wall. And some of y'all remember like rotary dialing. Some of y'all are even older than me and remember when there was no touch tone. Of course, many of you all use the special dialing service for those of you who are deaf or hard of hearing. So some of you still use that, but of course I know many of you also just use video chat, which is another reason I like to come with video chat. One other thing is I do speak with my hands. These are just kind of random, kind of stemmy, kind of hand gestures, and of course stemming something. Those of you who are in the autism community or in other kind of neurotypical communities know that you just kind of go with the flow and use your hands. I am also in the process of adding some ASL, but in the meantime, my goal was to have this so that it could be cart, at least the captions could be assumed on the bottom of the screen. Many apologies for misunderstandings of the captions, because captions don't keep up necessarily with regional accents, and I'm still proud to carry my original regional accent. It's a little bit different than it used to be because I don't live in my home state, and trust me, when I go home, I hear a difference. I hear a distinction. And when I talk here, I hear a distinction. I can tell some words have become Maryland words, and some words are still NC words. And when I was in Kansas City, sometimes I couldn't order at the drive-through. I had to just change my vowels all the way up. I had to make that Midwestern sound. Like, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what's up. But here's the thing. I respect not only do I respect folks that look just like me, not only do I work on respecting myself and loving myself and practicing self care, I look at others and do that. And that's before I even get to the ballot box. I'm like, okay, so you don't need to tell me that we need to take pandemic precautions to help each other. You don't need to tell me that people need somewhere to eat, somewhere to sleep, a decent roof, a steady roof that's not. Honestly, I really don't like housing as a commodity. Y'all know that. I'm gonna get deeper into that over time. It's probably gonna be one of my main wishes again this year, and I do holiday wishes every year. Have been doing it since I started this platform in 2010. I think, we got more than enough food, we got more than enough shelter to share around, borders, all of those things. Like, we need to really rethink this. And some of us may not make it, and I know I like to keep these around 15, 20 minutes, so I know we're getting to that point. So I just want to leave us this week with the idea that it's getting old, that so much of our survival is on the ballot. We need to be mindful and we need to learn ourselves. We need to be at peace with sitting with ourselves. And there's definitely resources and tools to do that. So that way we know ourselves and we can uphold ourselves and we can love ourselves and we can be kind. We can be caring. We don't need to hustle each other. I know many people are out here saying they can do capitalism more humanely. Like, at least the definition of capitalism I got is that it's on the backs of somebody. Like, we gotta stop doing stuff on folks' backs. Like, it needs to be an equal exchange of labor and time and effort in what we're doing. So yeah, that's why I spend a lot of time just talking about like human behavior and capital, like in that sense. Because before we even get to, oh, we're going to provide public transportation, so many places don't want to do public transportation because it's in their minds that it's a crime hole. Like, where did that idea come from, folks? Why do you think it's a crime hole to provide public transportation? So I want us to think about that. I also want to think about what pings you on the inside, to think about a child having, and even adults, like having lifelong learning, and children having the opportunities to learn wherever they need to learn, best learn. People being allowed to express themselves, like getting away from gendering clothing and certain expressions and emotions. Everybody need to cry. Now, we don't need to weaponize our tears over people, but everybody need to grieve and cry and have their time, especially right now. If you are in a state that did not vote for progressive values, if you are in a state that does not see you as a human being, you might be sitting in a pretty apartment right now. You might be on MARTA right now, the New Orleans streetcar, DART. I'm trying to think of some other transit systems. I mean, Brightline even. Y'all, you might be sitting on, or Amtrak on a long distance train, rolling through a state that doesn't think you're human. So that, if y'all are wondering why I'm constantly talking about things like public health and treating people like humans, it's because that's where we lose a lot of times when it comes time to vote for public goods like public transit and public housing. That's where my head is at. So I just want to encourage everybody. I put in the stories this block about things to do politically besides the ballot box. We do need to strategically, we those of us who can speak up at government things, those of us who can get on the ballot, that is something I am working on. I am strategically looking at where I can be most effective on a ballot. But in the meantime, I'm also working to make sure my information platform is available. I like to tell people, especially in the print version of this, to think of this platform as my editorial page. Everybody writing something has an opinion. Yeah, we try to be objective. We try to keep facts together, but we also have opinions. And in the media, what the media you consume, there is an editorial room and there is an agenda that is set. And so I'm here for folks that identify with one or more of my intersections. I'm clear about that. If you're looking for somebody to encourage you, if you're looking for a possibility model, maybe not a role model because that's kind of a flawed thing. You can, but a possibility model, somebody that's doing some of the things that you want to do, and then you can kind of take action, or somebody you're looking for somebody to affirm who you are and what you're doing. And then also just cover stories, like news stories, like give information, share facts, teach things. You know, so one of the reasons I've started teaching crochet and fiber arts, because there's so many guilds that just can't take it that if somebody black in the guild, somebody queer in the guild, somebody gender nonconforming or trans in the guild, somebody that still needs pandemic precautions or has other mobility devices, or is like has other things that they've got that are disabling. You know, we could honestly, the disability community says that we're all temporarily able, and at least for me in my life, in my interpersonal life, that's happened quickly. Once again, I'm gonna head over after this on Instagram to the Indo Queer account. I'm gonna go live there, talk a little bit more about what we're going through directly, independently here. But today, especially if you are in a state that voted very hostily against your identity, take care of yourself. If it's warm outside, or even just throw on a nice little sweater. The yarn stores are open today. Some of the patios are open. The parks, wrap up and go to the park. I know Black Panther special. There's going to be special screenings. Do take some precautions. Please. I mean, wear a mask. I wish I could get y'all doing that, but I know I could. I was really excited to kind of talk about elections, because I know all of us are aligned on this election. A lot more of us are aligned on this election piece, but know that masking is something else you can do, because if we can keep airborne diseases down, we can keep our minds together, we can keep illness down, and we can be active, and we can be out here doing what we need to do to advocate. We can learn about new places to go. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, go support your small community businesses, that people that are support businesses by marginalized creators that have progressive values, that go to your feminist bookstore, go to your queer bookstore, go to your Black bookstore, go to those places. If you're feeling the need to just put some money down somewhere, get on those mutual aids, go on GoFundMe, go on there's some other sites that post mutual aids. Yes, of course, I still have a capital campaign GoFundMe. That's going to close out at the end of the year. We're going to shift to a different model of raising capital funds for this platform. You can also support, I do have a meal train going for my acute need right now with lesbian in the hospital. It's over on the Indo Queer site. So if you follow me over there, and if you click on the link in the bio and the link tree, that is there. But I will message that to anybody who requests that. I appreciate that aid and help to everybody who's come together to help acutely. And yeah, just build your squad. There's the congressional squad, and they look out for each other, and that's growing to 6 people strong. They all got reelected last night. Find your personal squad and make sure you know where they are. Go ahead and order stuff. I'm propping the laptop today underneath a box of that's full of a external charger. I just ordered proper 3M N95 ear loop. I just tested it out, put it on. It's like a little safety blanket. But definitely think about if the ballot, or if being appointed, or if doing some actions, climate actions, or making sure people have what they need, looking at fundraising drives. This is a time of year when it's time for people need coats and scarves and everything. There's plenty of drives. I want to shout out Knit the Rainbow for those of you looking for specifically a queer friendly place to donate those things. Go as local as you can, because wherever you live globally, there's folks in need. So be about that, and just be about modeling humanity, and checking in with people, and building a pod. If you still got your pandemic pod, keep that going. I'm thankful, so thankful for my pod today. That's what's getting me through. And I thank everybody who came through this live at any point in time. I'm going to hop off here You can follow me over to Endo Queer. I'm gonna chat a little bit over there, and then I'm gonna head over to the hospital, check in with Les, and we're gonna go forward, continuing to be human beings, continuing to take as much self care and rest as we can as we move forward in our lives today. So be safe and be well as you can. If you want to get on the newsletter list so you can know when I do go live or get the newsletter in your inbox, there is a link pretty much everywhere you see this video. There's a link to it. And in some places you see this video, like LinkedIn, there is a version of the written newsletter that's on LinkedIn as well that generally meets up. And I have other links there. I have a written account. I'll be honest, sometimes a little bit more straightforward than me just talking to you on camera. But I do also like to come to you like this so you can kind of see that there's a person, a human voice behind the writing. This two and two are together. And, I always want to encourage everybody. I know everybody's doing the best. Well, I won't say everybody's doing the best that they can, because some of them aren't. And we see that. And that is why we are in the shape we are in a globe. But I hope that you coming by this video today, that if you are consistently coming through my videos, reading my newsletters, that you're not doing it to hate watch, but you're doing it to consider what's going on. No, I'm actually in a good overarching, I'm in a good place business wise, but yeah, I could use some extra meals, I could use some extra support right now, just some extra moral support, prayers, meta, love and light, whatever you do to send good energy and good thoughts to people that you love and care about, whether it's people in your real life, or if you just have this parasocial relationship with me. I recognize I'm in that space as well. I wouldn't be here talking to you like I'm talking to you, like you're sitting across from me, if that wasn't the case. So take care of yourselves. It's not over. If you're here today and you're watching this, you're still alive. There's so much you can do. So I love you all. I am going to put the little heart up here. And until next time, until next week, I'll see you.